Guys, do you cry?
All the time.
You know it.
I'm crying right now.
Yeah, it's... I thought everybody
You've
cried.
seen me cry.
Yeah. Matt, Julian, Rakush, me, I thought everybody cried. Then I asked Jaren, do you cry? And he just, typed out my full name first off, which is very traumatizing for me as someone who grew up with his first name getting called before getting yelled at. And Jaren was like, Rakush, big girls don't cry. I don't cry. And I was like, shit, man, Jaren, I'm sorry, But, that kind of, listen, that happened. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I think we can make a full list here. And we can probably get Jaren into a place where he can start feeling emotional. He can be in his feels about this, And I think out of this list of 26, 27 different kinds of crying, guys, I think Jaren can relate to at least one of these. And so here I have a tier of tears. Get it? Like a tier, T-I-E-R, of tears. T-E-A-R-S.
Nice.
I'm reading through, some of the things that you have on this tier list.
Yes, Matt.
And I really like that on this very first one, you decided to be inclusive. And then for the next 4, they're all specifically from a
certain
pursuing
point of view. Yes.
a female type of
no, absolutely,
point of view.
Absolutely. Listen, it's a good point, right? I just want to make sure that anyone that is doing the tier along with us, as they're watching along, listening along, thank you for that, by the way. If you are doing that, we need at least one that sets it so that they can imagine the, identity of their choice, the, alignment of their choice. The rest, I had to kind of go with, my personal preference here. So, yeah, But listen, please, envision whoever you think you want to envision with some of these. So what do I have here, Matt? I know you already mentioned this. The first one, a little bit inclusive. But I have a list of 26, I think 27 maybe, different scenarios, kinds of crying that we're going to be putting into a tier list. This tier list, currently built out here, a little bit flexible on what each tier is called, but I'm just going to run them down in order from the single best cry ever, which is the top tier, to I need therapy, which is the least top tier. The bottom rung, the one where it's like, hey man, maybe I need to stop doing a podcast here and maybe I need to call my therapist and talk about some of these things here, In between though, we've got a couple other tiers. We got an I could cry forever tier, which is, it's a good cry. It might not just be the single best cry. And I got a challenge for the two of you. The single best cry is the one where we might be able to get Jaren to relate to that one and be able to say, nah, listen, Rakush, I do cry, We also got the game's the game. It's sometimes shit happens. What can you do about it, Game's the game. There's a no dog in them tier. Do you really need to be crying over something like this? Are you maybe making a mountain out of a molehill? We'll find out. There's a big boy crying tier. Why is there the big boy crying tier? There's a couple in here. We'll get to it when we get to it. She got the ick tier. I think that's pretty self-explanatory here, guys. That one might bring up some, very traumatizing events in our lives. Let's see. My voice is already cracking a little bit, but I don't know. I don't know, you guys.
Okay.
Yeah. Guys, yeah. What's up, Joey?
Can there only be one in the single best cry ever? Because it's the single best cry. So can we only put one thing in there?
It's going to be a challenge of our friendship, but I think you, me, and Matt, we can come up with the single best cry ever.
Okay. Just to make sure I understand this tiering correctly. It is going from happy cry to you shouldn't cry to sad cry. Yes?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Because I'm wondering how much, I don't know, toxic masculinity is going to get thrown into this particular tier list.
Listen. We've tried our best not to be very toxic about the different kinds of crying over here. We will try our best not to be toxic for the next however long it takes to record this, Listen.
Okay.
Crying brings out the worst in us sometimes, but I also feel like crying can bring out the best in us, And why don't we start Why don't we start, guys? Let's start with a cry that does bring out the best in us. Let's start with the very first one, guys. Crying because you just saw the most beautiful person ever. For me, it would be a woman.
Okay.
For someone else, it could be, a non-binary person. But you just saw the most beautiful person ever in your eyes. Guys, I think I could cry forever if I saw that person. Over and over again.
Yeah, I would agree.
Matt, I see you. I hear you contemplating. I feel the contemplation and the silence here. What is going on in your mind with this?
Okay. I think that I'm realizing that maybe my heart is broken or my emotional capacity is extremely stunted because I would personally put this in. I'm considering the no dog in him tier as the why are you crying tier. To me, that's where I'm seeing this.
So you think no dog in him is where you want to put crying because you just saw the most beautiful person ever tier?
Because there's no tier of why are you crying, I guess, is like what I'm looking for to where to put this. Because this for sure is not a sad cry. So it's
very
above
happy
the
cry,
greens.
I think.
Yes, it's should be a happy cry. But like I said, I am emotionally stunted, I believe. So
we're finding out more about our friends.
That's why I'm putting this in the
here.
middle.
Julian, I feel like Matt can make a convincing case here.
Is the top parts like positive cries,
yes.
and then the middle is like no opinion, and then the bottom are like negative cries, like you're watching that horse from the Neverending Story like drown? Like, is that?
Yeah.
It's like okay, so it's like
okay. Listen.
Positive cry.
Let's explain one big part here. There's a couple of serious cryings that are obviously not on this list. We're not going to be talking about grieving. We're not going to be talking about anything too serious like that. So listen, there's a few things here where I feel like we can make some jokes about these. That's all. So I don't know if there's going to be the horse from Neverending Story dying levels of sad here.
Are you telling me that animal okay, because I haven't fully read this list, Rakush. Are you telling me that you don't have something that's like animal dying in a movie crying?
You want to make a joke about an animal dying, Matt? Because that is what you're implying.
I am saying if we're making a tier list of cries, crying because something died in a movie is a pretty important one.
We are entertainers here, my friend. We are not trying to make the audience cry.
I mean, I think you should have some real cries on here.
I do not think we can make jokes about real cries on here. That's all I'm saying. And also, excuse you for saying real cries as if some of these are not real cries.
But
over
Rakush,
here.
You're framing crying as a bad thing.
I am
crying
not.
is part of the healing process.
I understand you. I understand you, Julian. I just want to be able to make some jokes about some of these first.
You can make jokes about we're literally joking about animals crying or animals dying.
Animals crying? No, listen. Actually, that would be hell tier. Beyond I need therapy tier.
Yeah,
I do not want to hear
when an animal
crying.
When an animal gets sad eyes, I'm done. I'm done.
Listen, I hearing a dog whimper is one of those where I'm like, I need to drop everything I'm doing and just be with the dog.
Especially if you accidentally caused it.
Oh my god.
Oh man. Yeah.
I accidentally stepped on one of my friend's
therapy.
dog's tail once, and there's a little whelp, but then I spent the next 3 hours just holding on to the dog, petting the dog, whispering sweet nothings because I felt that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Don't step on dog tails, folks. That's bad.
Mm-hmm.
Crying because you saw the most beautiful woman ever. No dog in him. Man. You think no dog in him. Make the case for this being no dog in him.
See, no, the case that I'm making here is that I am emotionally stunted, so I personally would no dog in him.
Hey, this is our list.
This one.
This is our list.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I personally am gonna no dog him.
Julian,
so
what do you think?
I want to defer to you guys in terms of where this should go on the list because I don't think I'm emotionally capable enough to rank this particular one.
I could be convinced for no dog in him. Julian, what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, you're just seeing them, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of like the end of it. I don't know. I feel like that's a good thing. So I feel like it would be game's the game. It's cool. You're seeing the most beautiful person ever, but then it's I wouldn't personally be hung up on it for too long. I'd just be like, cool, that person is handsome or beautiful.
Am I just a romantic? Is it not just the coolest thing ever
Or
see the
maybe you're
person and be
putting
like, wow.
beauty at a too high of a standard, Rakush.
Damn. Wow.
Uh-huh.
I did not expect that to go in that direction, Julian. Holy shit. I'm gonna put this in no negative now. I think that made me realize, wow, no negative.
Oh man. Okay. It's no negative.
No negative.
Okay.
But maybe we can revisit this and move it up to games of game, depending on how.
I like games to game because you gotta appreciate beautiful people, but also at the same time, it's like that's cool.
But then you're crying. You're not just saying that's cool.
I can agree with that.
I'm games to game first.
Games to game. Okay.
This is like a tear came to your eye.
Yeah.
Yes.
Level crying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like you look at them, you see them, you appreciate them, but then you gotta move on after. I think.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We got the first one on the list, guys. Games the game for crying because you just saw the most beautiful woman ever.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna jump right into the tough shit here. Crying because she said no.
Okay.
In all caps, no.
Okay. I am looking at this and I suddenly have an issue with the tearing.
Let's hear it.
I think that this should be name-wise in the tier she got the ick. But I feel like now that I'm looking at Big Boy crying and she got the ick, those should be reversed on the tier list.
I could, you know what? Listen, I am open to that. We did say the tiers are flexible.
Mm-hmm.
I think Big Boy crying can go one tier lower.
Yeah. I think you're right. I'm with Matt.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, I'm changing this on my tier list.
Listen. She got the ick is a very, troublesome feeling. You don't want anybody to ever get the ick. So, I would make a case for that, but I do understand Big Boy crying got a little bit of that toxic masculinity in it that we were talking about not having, So, I get that.
Mm-hmm.
Crying because she said no. I think Big Boy crying or she got the ick. Which one do you think?
Old Big Boy crying or new Big Boy
New
crying?
Big Boy crying.
I think she got the ick.
Because she can say no for different reasons than just she got the ick. Well, they can say no. They got... You know what? Let's change the tier name to they got the ick.
Is it... Okay. Is it that she said no and you started crying in front of her? Or is it like... Or is it like you are by yourself and then she said no and then you're like, what are my feelings towards this? Is it the former or the latter?
That's a good question.
My answer will change depending on what you say.
Let's say right in front of the person. You cannot control your crying here.
The problem now comes because I now have to assume what her feelings are. Because now I have to assume whether me crying in front of her gives her the ick, or me crying in front of her makes her go he's a very sensitive person.
I really appreciate you guys right now because
no. If it is something that you're crying in front of them because they said no to you, this is going into I need therapy tier for me because then it becomes one of those things where it's like, I can't believe I broke down immediately in front of a person, and that is something that I'm gonna, while I'm lying in my bed.
You're gonna think about it.
I feel that. Okay. I think.
You're kind of selling me on that one.
Yeah. I think this is I need therapy.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be real funny when we just take a screenshot of this tier at the end, and someone's gonna be like, "Bro, it's not that serious." But
I mean, it isn't. But in the context of it,
yes. Listen,
can you put in brackets crying because she said no, and then brackets started crying immediately in front of her or something?
These are images, Julian. I cannot edit images, so the answer to that is no. I cannot change it.
Oh, because it's
No, it's when you're looking at this whole list as a whole at the end, it's funnier if it's just that time.
So it's not that serious, guys, but I guess it is.
It's not that well, that's games to game. It's not that serious. That's all that tier is, So yeah. Also, 35-year-old me agrees that you listen. It's not that serious. 30-year-old me, different story.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Breaking down, in front of them, this is I need therapy here, I think.
I feel like crying regardless of where she said no, you need therapy. I think you need therapy regardless of whether you're happy or not, folks. That's the secret here about the I need therapy tier. You need therapy regardless.
Yeah, I mean, we all have our demons, 100%.
Also, this might be a perfect time to reveal that I've actually been hyping up this tier a lot to some of my friends, including coworkers. So they might find out a lot about it.
Problematic, my guy. Yeah. At the end of this, you're gonna look problematic.
Why is therapy the lowest tier, Rakush. Let's therapize
because that is the kind of crying where you realize you need therapy. It's not like a happy cry, it's a sad cry.
Yeah, but like by seeking therapy, you have taken that step towards asking for help. So
are you saying this is above big boy crying tier?
No, I'm just saying, are you inferring that asking for help
Julian,
is
let
the
me
worst
be
thing
honest.
you can
Let me be honest with you guys. I cannot afford therapy right now, so the tier itself is me regulating my emotions to not go to therapy.
Oh, you should go to therapy, but you're not. You're just gonna cry about it instead.
With my friends on a podcast, as you know, men typically do.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. That tracks.
So listen, we're just gonna tier these different emotions here, and we're gonna just leave it on the list, and then it is what it is.
All right.
Game's a game.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on to the next one. We've only done 2 so far. Let's move on to the third one. Honestly, this one a little bit opposite. Crying because she said yes.
Okay. I'm sorry to keep going back to the tiers, but she got the ick doesn't work because it is inferring an outsider or an external forces like reaction as opposed to my reaction. Because crying because she said yes, this once again I'm assuming is you start crying right when she said yes.
Once again, I'm really glad that you guys are my friends because you are clearly segueing into the very next item to the right of crying because she said yes. Crying because she said no after she got the ick from your crying because she said yes.
Okay,
it's a package deal, guys.
I'll be honest. I haven't read past like the initial,
which is great. The suspense will get to
right
you guys. That's
like,
great. That's
yeah.
great. Crying because she said yes, I think is I could cry forever. Or no dog. It's either.
What
or.
if she gets
the
ick from it though? What if she's like, oh no? But
well, that's the very next one.
Okay,
but what if she?
We can divide this into two. Okay.
But if she gets the ick, then that means she doesn't like you emotionally, and maybe you shouldn't be with her.
Dang.
Or this person, because then they don't appreciate you being vulnerable.
I should add an extra tier in here. Julian's a therapist here.
No.
Okay.
Crying because she said yes. I guess. I don't know.
I feel like that is one of the positive cries. I feel like
it would
I
be
could
a positive
cry forever.
cry, 100%.
Yeah.
Because like if she doesn't get the ick after she said yes and you're crying, that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Because you're emotionally vulnerable.
Oh, she said yes, so it could be anything. It could be like you're asking her to marry you.
Yeah.
That would be a really good cry.
Listen, yeah, she could be saying yes to anything. She could be saying yes to ordering McDonald's for takeout.
True.
Okay.
Oh,
that might be therapy
meals.
I don't know.
Get the Minecraft meals.
Oh God, no. Let's not talk about Minecraft on this episode. Crying because she said no after she got the egg from your crying because she said yes.
Wait. Where are we putting crying because she said yes?
I'm putting that on cry. I could cry forever.
Okay. I am, realizing 3, I guess, things into this list. I've been recounting my life for the past, how long have we been recording? Like 20 minutes. And I am struggling, you guys, to come up with a happy cry that I have personally experienced.
Oh my God. Hopefully the remaining 24, 25 items will help you get to that point, Matt.
Okay.
God. If we cannot figure this out, how's Jern gonna cry? We gotta make Jern cry, guys.
Oh, man. Okay.
They got the egg tier for this next one?
Which one? Crying because she said no after she got the egg from crying because she...
They got the egg, yeah. I think that's they got the egg tier.
No, this is also I need therapy tier. This is the exact, basically the exact same scenario as crying because she said no.
I think it's worse too because she said yes initially, right? And then
and then she got
and then she said no.
As we're talking about this,
there's a few seconds of hope. Right?
As we're talking about this,
so
I actually feel like this is games to game.
What?
No,
I feel like
this
this
positive?
is games to game. Hear me out.
Positive?
I think it's neutral. I don't think games to game is a positive. I think it's just neutral. The only two positives
But
to
you
me
said
are
no
Cry
dog in
Forever.
them is neutral. Which one is it, Rakush?
I think both of those are like varying levels of neutral, where like no dog in them is you're being judgmental about somebody crying, and Games to Game is like, yeah, what are you gonna do about it, you know?
I don't agree with that, but okay.
Yeah.
What do you guys think it is then? Games to Game
Because
is a positive.
You need a baseline, and I thought no dog in them was the baseline. And now you're like throwing this out of the baby with the bathwater here.
Interesting. All right, so you guys want to leave this under they got the ick. See, I think it's Games to Game because it's like she said yes. So you thought you had the emotional breakthrough, and so you're vulnerable with her. Or them, again, inclusive podcast here. You're vulnerable with them. But then it's like, she still says no. At that point, it's like, what are you supposed to do? It is what it is. Game's the game.
But like, I guess. But like,
how about a compromise?
Yeah.
How about a compromise? The no dog in him, the M in this situation, could be the person that said no.
I don't know, man. I'm kind of with Matt, where it's like, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I feel like this needs to be I need therapy, and then we need to upgrade crying because she said no to big boy crying. Because there's a sense of like you got that hope, and then that you get that rug pull, right? So there's that added element of like you thought you got a yes, but then because you became vulnerable, it now just became a no. Because now there's a twofer where number one, you got rejected, and number two, you realize that this person maybe isn't the person you know because they're rejecting you for being vulnerable, for being who you are. So not only have you lost a potential yes, but maybe you lost a friend because, like, what is a friend if you can't be vulnerable to them?
I'll be honest, this is a lot more thought going into each answer than I thought you guys were going to put in. So I really appreciate this. Thank you, guys.
On my personal list, I'm gonna put that in I need therapy, and I'm gonna upgrade big boy crying.
You know what?
Crying because she said no to big boy crying.
It's a group list. The two of you agree, 2 against 1. We're gonna make this change.
That's how democracy works.
That's how democracy works. Exactly. Funny thing, we started this recording by saying this is gonna be like an hour 15. We're like 20 minutes into this right now, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I said each thing is gonna be 2 minutes. That was very conservative.
Listen, we started with some heavy hitters. I think we can make a little bit of ground up here. All right, guys, let's move into the next one here. I'm gonna skip a few on this list, and I'm gonna go over to crying over spilled milk.
No
Game's
dog
the game. No dog in him. You think that's no dog in him?
Yeah.
Don't cry over spilled milk. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, that's the whole point. This tier can literally be called crying over spilled milk.
Yeah, but it's not as fun as Tears of Tears. That's a better name, guys. Come
on. Actually, no, I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah. Again, I am looking at no dog in them as a you shouldn't be crying tier.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's like a baseline for me. We should probably iron that out. Like, because Rakush is treating Games the Game as as a neutral, but I'm thinking of it as a positive.
I think so Games the Game is like, maybe we need to rename that tier, because to me, Games the Game is like after the fact, you can pretty clearly say, yeah, Games the Game, I cried, whatever, move on. No dog in them is as something.
But that feels positive to me. Like, you got your emotions out and you're able to move on. That feels positive.
But then we have to look at these as like present tense or past tense. Because like if you are crying over spilled milk, present tense, are we saying there's no dog in this person because you're still crying? Or are like after the crying is done, you're like, yeah, let's move on. Game's the game.
But then are we looking past tense? Because if you are crying over spilled milk, it's clearly affecting, so it should be in the negatives.
I'm going to go with its present tense.
Okay, so if I'm crying like right now,
yes,
I would say like this would be maybe like she got the ick because it's a little lower. Because this is clearly affecting me to the point where I'm crying. But am I crying over the milk, or am I crying over what's around the milk?
I got a proposition here.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
I got a proposition. What if we rename Games the Game to Crying Over Spilled Milk tier? And then we have no dog in him as the judgmental tier.
I think Games the Game is fine. I think she got the ick is where I get hung up. I feel
like call that Crying Over Spilled Milk tier.
It seems like you guys are looking at spilled milk a lot more philosophically. I am literally imagining myself spilling milk and then crying.
Right, because you told us you have no emotions.
Yes, and so I was thinking of no dog. Okay, I think it's also because I don't have a good grasp on no dog in them, like as a phrase.
Right.
That's why I'm also treating it as a neutral tier.
Okay. Before we remove they got the ick, let's keep that in there for the time being. We're saying no dog in them for crying over spilled milk. You shouldn't be crying over spilled milk.
Yes, I think you should not be crying over spilled milk.
Yes.
That's the whole point of the phrase.
I will be cool with that. You guys think that no dog in him is that one? Okay, fair.
I think we should rename Games the Game to Healthy Cry.
Just a healthy cry. Okay.
It's like a positive, healthy cry, but like you're crying, but it's like okay, like there's some negative emotions, but you're getting it out, and that way it's positive. So it is differentiating itself from no dog in 'em, which is our neutral baseline. Okay. And then we need to change She Got the Ick to something like a little negative, but like not.
You don't think they got the ick is negative?
No,
I don't. I think it's negative, but I think it's inferring another person's. It's inferring another person's perspective as opposed to a personal perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Listen,
so like
we have to assume things when we're crying. Like we're not crying on educated guesses here.
But like, shouldn't it be like from my perspective of like
have you ever been objective about something and broken out into tears?
But like everything else is objective. Like Big Boy crying is like
Big Boy crying is not objective. Get out of here.
I think so. How is it not objective? It's like I'm crying, like like I'm a big boy. I'm crying. Or like I need therapy has I in it. It literally has the pronoun I. It is.
That's subjective.
But it is individual. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean objective. I just meant like individual, like individualistic. Everything is individualistic except for She Got the Ick, where it is inferring another person's.
Okay, what if we rename it to I think they got the ick?
Or I got the ick. Like
no, because then like you're not crying because you got the ick. No one ever cries after getting the ick.
Or she would get the ick. Or I think she would get the ick.
Possible ick.
How about like something like something along the lines of like I'm trying to hold back my tears.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Matt, you're working ahead. You're working ahead on one of the options that is in the tier. Why don't we? Okay, crying over spilled milk. We're putting it in no dog in him for now. I'm gonna actually skip ahead to one of the next ones so that we can rename this tier here. Trying not to cry, crying regardless.
That should be the name of this tier.
Yeah,
there we go. Okay.
Name to that.
Trying not to cry. Just character limits. Yeah. Trying not to cry is the tier.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Okay. I like that.
Yes.
That's a good change.
This is
an effective change. Democracy works.
It took us half an hour to get to what the tier actually needs to read like. That is great. This is why our friendship works. It only takes half an hour to figure this out.
See, if this was a more well thought out tier list, I feel like this would have been there at the start.
As I mentioned to you guys, this started out as a dad joke where I just heard tier of tears in my brain, and I was like, I need to get this out in the into the universe. All right, like this is clearly not a thought out. This is very much not a thought out tier list.
We've reached the optimal starting point.
Yes, 30 minutes in. But the first 30 minutes do matter because we now have 6 different things on this tier list here. We're going to move on to the next item here.
Okay.
Speaking of another neutral one, crying for no reason.
Okay.
Crying for no reason. But
you know what?
I feel like that's a healthy cry.
That's healthy. That is healthy.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a healthy cry too.
Sometimes you just gotta. Put on some Enya, put on a bath, just cry.
Put on some what? Sorry?
Enya?
What's Enya?
She's a singer.
Oh, okay. Who's Enya is the question. Sorry, my fault. Corey, I'm just going to confirm what the tiers are called now. The single best cry ever, for now.
Mm-hmm.
I could cry forever.
Mm-hmm.
Just a healthy cry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No dog in him. Trying not to cry.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Big boy crying. And the I need therapy tier.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
This makes sense.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. The crying for no reason is just a healthy cry.
You got it, Matt. You got it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, I think we need to talk about some big boy cryings.
Okay.
A specific big boy crying. Guys, I think we need to talk about the Vegeta crying in the rain.
Like the specific gif of Vegeta crying in the rain?
Yeah, just
like
crying in the rain.
Crying in the rain.
Okay, I guess question for the two of you. If you think crying in the rain, what is the first visual that comes to mind for you?
Usher dancing in the rain to You Got It Bad.
Is he crying or is he just dancing?
I guess he's not crying, but I mean, like, is is dancing like an interpretive version of crying?
Ooh, okay, that's deep.
You know, like if we're thinking about like early 2000s R&B, what is Dancing in the Rain if not metaphorically crying?
Look, Dancing in the Rain is one of the most elite forms of yearning. So listen, I feel it. I feel the emotional connection here. You know, like
yeah. No, that would go for a big boy cry for me.
Yeah, it's either a healthy cry or a big boy cry, and I'm not sure which one it is.
I guess it depends on the reason. Why are we crying in the rain?
Reason miscellaneous, you know? Sometimes you're just like Vegeta, you know? It's like, you know, you gotta be a stoic figure that just sometimes has to step out in the rain because, you know, you can't show your tears, you know?
Sorry, just going back to the Vegeta part. What was the context of that GIF? Because I fully cannot remember.
Again, I think we're thinking too deep on that one, you know? I think you gotta just take the GIF for whatever it means to you.
Okay, because I always took that as like a not serious cry. Like whenever I see that GIF.
Does Vegeta look like cry? He does not serious cries? I don't listen.
Like
no.
If I were to emotionally scale that GIF, whenever I see it, it is a trying not to cry for me.
There's actually 2 Vegeta crying GIFs that are out there. There's one where he's just standing looking upwards, and like there's rain falling on him, right? So that's one of them. The other one where he's like, and listen, you know, I will admit when I was younger, I cried at this episode when he sacrifices himself with like, you know, the big blast to take out Boo in the final arc in Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
And then, like, you know, it kind of, like, pans with the tears away and, like, you know, it kind of fades. Listen, that was an emotional moment as well, you know?
But are we crying because specifically of Vegeta or crying because of crying in the rain?
It's crying because we envision ourselves as Vegeta in the rain.
Because, like, Vegeta's reason for crying, like, in terms of the story, like, if that's emotionally, you know, like, deep, then I would say that's big boy crying because, like, you know, I'm feeling that emotions of like that frustration because I think he's crying because of like, I don't know why he's crying.
I think regardless we both landed on big boy crying no matter what the context was.
Yeah, I think so. I'm happy with that one.
Yeah,
okay. So
and that is the secret, guys. Sometimes there's just no context. Sometimes there's just material, you know. It's not crying for no reason, but it is crying in the rain, like you're Vegeta in the rain. That's basically it, you know?
That's true.
Yeah. Rain cry is a good cry.
Rain cry is a good cry. I think that's a solid big boy cry.
No one can tell the difference between the teardrops and your tears.
There you go. Exactly, you know? Guys, how familiar are you with the bleed out spot?
That's like where you go because you got like knocked down in PUBG and, you know, you want to make sure that your team can res you. Like in a safe space.
That's not where I was gonna go with it. But okay, Julian,
where else
how familiar are you with the bleeding out spot?
What you're supposed to do.
Are you talking about like end of Blade Runner where he's kind of like laying on the stairs?
Julian, I fucking love you. That is exactly what I was thinking about.
Bro, that is like...
I think you guys are wrong.
Man, leave this to the big boys here.
Honestly, I think this is the single best cry because, like, of course,
too.
you want
I think. Listen, I think this is the single best cry ever as well, guys.
Yeah.
I think we might have stumbled on what would make Jaren cry.
Bro, like just that final hurrah, like you've accomplished what you want to accomplish. You know, you're ready to go. You're just snow is going down. You're bleeding out, but you're okay.
And you know why you're at peace? Because you know you found the perfect bleeding out spot to let that shit happen.
Exactly. That is top tier.
Seriously, brother. Seriously. I fucking love you, man. Because when I added this shit in here, and I knew you were going to be on the episode, I knew you were going to get that one.
Bro.
I knew you were going to get that one.
Right there. Top tier. Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Single best cry ever.
Simpatico.
Jared would very much understand this.
I think so.
You know, when you're like bleeding out in Fortnite, you know, you're waiting for someone to like pull you back up. Yo, he knows that you have to be in the perfect location. So that
all right, let's ignore Matt for a second. Julian, what do you think?
I'm saying. I'm with Matt. Yo, Jaren loves Fortnite. If you want to relate this to Jaren, you got it.
I think. What do you guys think is the perfect bleeding out spot?
I don't know, man. Hard to beat the stairs at the end of Blade Runner.
It's fucking good, right? With the snow falling.
Yeah, you want to be behind cover or something. That's very important.
It's when someone like your partner boxes you in Fortnite. And then no one can get to you.
I think I think for me it would be like at the beach, clear skies, the sun is just rising, but then like there's nobody around me, so like the only way someone can actually see me bleeding out is like from like 40-50 feet away. So like cinematically it's like this ultra wide shot, with an like the only thing that has interrupted the smooth waves of the sand are my footsteps and a little bit of that blood that's just like, it's bleeding out, I think that's
thematically though, would you rather a sunrise to like be a metaphor for a new dawn that you've helped usher, or would you like a sunset where your life is kind of like sunsetting but you're okay?
A sunrise, Julian. A sunrise. You know why? Because
better
life
tomorrow,
goes on.
Better tomorrow.
A better tomorrow, and life goes on with or without you.
Yeah, perfect.
Guys, we're maybe halfway through here, and we got the single best cry ever here. Now the plot
honestly,
twist.
I feel like we got the top. Like we can call it. I'll see you guys later.
I put a little bit of work into this list here, so I would like to get through the rest. I know I said I didn't put a lot of thought into this, but there was some thought put into this, so let's try to get through the rest here. I'm gonna put this one on the tier list myself here. Crying 'cause sports. I think this
no
is
dogging him.
No dogging him.
What are you doing? No dogging him.
Listen, I think this is big boy crying. Okay, because I'm about like a week or 2 weeks away, depending on when this episode goes out, from celebrating my soccer team, football team, Liverpool, lifting the trophy for the first time in like 5-6 years, but for the first time with an actual crowd, because the last time they won was during COVID, and they had not won for like 25-30 years before that.
Wouldn't that be a positive cry then? Wouldn't that be like I could cry forever?
Mm-hmm.
See, I think with the Vegeta.gif one, we figured out that big boy crying, not necessarily the worst kind of crying. It's just...
Wait, I thought that was a bad cry.
I think it's evolving as we go along.
I thought crying in the rain was like specifically a bad cry.
I don't think so.
Yeah, because like you kind of like have to like hide it and stuff.
Well, okay, yes, there's a certain weakness that you're showing there, but it's not a healthy
weakness.
cry.
It's not weakness.
It's not weakness. It's
not
just
being able to be vulnerable.
It's coping. That's all. You're still crying.
Yeah, coping exactly. Yeah,
you're still crying. Yeah. It's just
a sad cry.
Yeah, it's a sad cry.
I feel
but
like
this is a happy cry.
Yeah, it's wild for me that you would put this into a sad cry tier, Rakush.
Yeah. I really appreciate you guys uplifting me here.
Then you can.
Yeah.
It's increasingly unlikely that that's going to happen. Although I am just give me 2 seconds here. I'm gonna go knock on some wood because I am a little bit superstitious about this stuff. So
I would say I could cry forever. I think it's a positive thing if your sports team wins.
Well, the next season starts in like 3 months after they win, so it's like I don't think I want to cry forever. So maybe I'll give it a healthy cry. Guys, I appreciate y'all. You're making me realize it's not so wrong to cry about my sports teams. Thank you.
No, it's not. There's a passion. You appreciate it. Like, give it that passion that you want.
Uplifting me. That's fucking cool. Yeah. Thank you. I love y'all. Crying on the internet.
Depends, I guess.
No dogging him.
No dogging him. No dogging him. I agree with you. No dogging him.
Open and shut. Open and shut.
Open it. Case open. Case closed. This is grand opening, grand closing. You're crying on the internet. No dogging him.
But like, why am I crying on the internet? Like, did I read that like Robin Williams?
It simply
does
not matter.
That was really sad.
It simply does not matter. You are crying on the internet. Now, if you read something that made you sad, and then you go outside in the rain and you start crying, big boy crying.
Well, I'll take my laptop with me in the rain.
There you go. Yeah, laptop in the rain tier.
No, that's not safe. No.
All right, no dogging him, I guess.
I think there's no dogging him. I think that's a no dogging him.
Guys,
I'm taking a look at this list here. I feel like there's a bunch that would go under trying not to cry. And I think I want to take a look at some of these now.
Okay.
Crying because you stubbed your toe.
Oh, definitely trying not to cry.
Yeah.
Like it's that, like you're like sucking your teeth in kind of thing, and you're like, yeah.
I want to argue big boy crying, but like I don't think it's worth it. Like I think that goes in trying not to cry.
Question: is stubbing your toe, or crying because you stubbed your toe, and crying because you accidentally hit your thumb with a hammer, are they different kinds of crying, or do you think it's the same kind of crying?
I don't know. Because like hitting your finger with a hammer, I feel like that's more like self-directed, while stubbing your toe can be an accident? No, I guess. I guess.
I might argue.
Yeah, I guess both can be an accident.
Yeah, I might argue that
These
both
are
are
the same
accidents.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just the same thing. It's just a different instrument
Different.
you're using.
I just wanted to validate. I just wanted to validate with you guys because I felt like they were the same thing. I just wasn't 100% certain. So that's all.
Are there? Is that on the same here as well?
Which one?
Hitting your.
Oh, I don't
Finger
have that on the
whatever.
list
Okay.
because
okay,
I was
okay.
under
Yeah.
the impression that it's the same thing. I just wanted to confirm
Okay.
with you guys. You know,
Okay.
That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Crying while cutting an onion.
Oh, no dog in him. That's a very neutral cry.
Yeah.
You think that's a no
It's a
dog
very-
in him?
That's
Yeah,
not
it's like-
sad. That's not happy.
that's not sad, that's
But
not
you're
happy.
trying not to cry. It's just that there's no choice. You're
No,
going to cry.
I'm not.
No.
I've never tried not to cry. I've just
Yeah.
let it go.
Like this is a tear duct malfunction.
Yeah.
Like it's not. You're not trying to hold it back. You're just like, okay, well, I guess I'm crying now.
Yeah, it's like you're
Yeah.
being affected by something outside of you,
Mm-hmm.
unless you are using it as a way to mask actual crying. But
I feel
if
like
you're
it's,
not-
it's so difficult. How would you mask actual crying with crying while cutting an onion? Because the cries
Well,
are
you're
so
feeling
different.
sad and then you feel it, and then you're like, I don't want people to think, maybe because of toxic masculinity, you're like, I don't want people to see me crying, so I'm gonna start cutting this onion so people think it's the onion.
I just feel like the tear chemical is so different. You know that your eye feels too different with the onion cutting. I don't know if you can hide it. You know.
You can't.
But you guys,
That's why it's
you
no
guys
dog
think no
in 'em.
dog in him.
Yeah.
Because it's
But,
just,
I think yeah.
it's
But
just
the thing with
it's
no
just,
dog in him is that
it just is.
But we're judging
Yeah.
somebody for crying while cutting onions with no dog in him, and I feel like that kind of is just hey, it doesn't
No.
matter if you have the dog or not in you. You're
Well,
gonna
no,
cry while
I
cutting
see
an
no
onion.
dog in him as a neutral, right?
Yeah.
Kind of,
So,
but the statement
Yeah.
"no dog in him" is there's certain judgment
Okay, hey,
happening
sorry.
with that.
Stop. Can you explain the phrase "no dog" in them?
Yeah.
Because I don't understand it.
No dog in him means that they've got zero desire or hustle or what have you. You know, it's just kind of a little bit of a saying here. You know that especially in sports, that guy's got 5 points in the clutch time. No dog in him. Can't count him in when it counts.
That did not make it clear for me.
Yeah, I did not get that.
I've
look
been
this up.
treating it as a neutral. I've been treating it as not a bad, not a good. It's just happening.
Let me look
So,
this up here. 1 second. I
For
would
me, that would be since I can't control it, it would just be a neutral.
Okay.
Mhm.
There's a certain saying where it's he got that dog in him. Basically just means that is a killer. That is a guy with a killer instinct. That is a person that is just absolutely locked in.
So
No
it's
dog
no
in
dog
him
in him
is the opposite.
There's so they're not dispassionate. They're nothing
They just
don't
got
have
nothing.
any-
They got no fire, no desire, nothing. They're just
That sounds neutral to me.
You think so?
Yeah.
I feel like that's an
Yeah.
absence
Ish.
of desire.
I would argue that we need a new tier
Yeah, we need to change that one too.
because I think no dog in them. One should get I guess removed for clarity, and should be split into you shouldn't be crying, and one where you can't almost you can't help but crying, but it doesn't matter that you're crying.
That's
We
trying
need
not
a
to cry.
true neutral. Can we change it to true neutral, neutral crying?
No dog in him? You want to change this to true neutral?
Yeah, true neutral. It's just it happens. It's it's happening. Not much we can do about it. This is happening. Just let it go.
I'll just call that crying over spilled milk tier then.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Because I was also considering it you shouldn't be crying over or why are you crying? I guess that does kind of go into trying not to cry, but I'm not totally sure now.
Well, no, because trying not to cry is okay, you're trying not to cry, but sometimes you can't help it. You're in pain.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Fair, yeah.
So that's
And,
why to
under
me,
that-
crying while cutting an onion should go under that.
Yeah, but
you
I
explain it
understand
that way. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
when you say
understand
it
that.
that way, I
You explain it
understand that.
Mhm.
But I also kind of do see it the same way that Julian's seeing it. This is not there's no emotional component here. I think every other tier has a sort of emotional component attached to it. But
What is the
no
emotional
dog in
component
them
attached
is-
to crying because you stubbed your toe?
It's
pain,
you're feeling pain.
You're,
Yes, so
Yeah.
that's what cutting an onion is.
You're not feeling pain for cutting an onion. You're
I
just...
feel so.
yeah,
Your eyes are
are just
stinging.
watery. Yeah, because you a bitch. But
Well,
Sorry.
no.
Oh man.
But I don't know.
So
I-
Oh fuck, that escalated.
okay.
I feel like it's just a very neutral thing.
Yeah, this is a mechanical crying. Like you,
Yeah.
you are crying through mechanical means.
That's what I think trying not to cry is.
I think trying not to cry is something sad happened, but like
Yeah, but you're like
to be
holding it in. You're like,
Yeah.
you're like
I
being
feel
like
like
stalwart.
I feel like that's what a healthy cry is. If like something sad happens to you, and
No,
you're
healthy
crying,
cry
that's
is
a healthy cry.
healthy cry is you're crying, but you recognize that it's
Uh-huh.
like something you need to release. Like
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
makes it healthy. Trying not to
Mhm.
cry is it is exactly like you stub a toe. You're in pain. You want to cry, but at the same time you're like,
Yeah.
this isn't really worth it. Like I'm just gonna like hold back the
Like,
tears.
Like someone's like, I don't know, like bullying you and they like push you down and you're trying not to cry because you don't want to like look
Yeah.
look like a bitch in front of the bully. So you're holding it back. Like that's
So crying while
That's what,
cutting
like,
an
trying
onion.
not to
You don't
cry.
think you want like that's not trying not to cry?
this
Because
is
I'm not
mechanic-
holding back. Yeah, I'm not holding
Yeah.
back when I'm trying to. Like
Amazing. This is not going the way I thought it was going to go. But all right, we are changing no dogging him to crying over spilled milk,
Okay.
Okay.
and we're putting crying while cutting an onion under crying over spilled milk.
Okay.
Interesting. All right.
I like that this tier list
Okay.
has changed
Sorry.
3
Just
times.
to escalate crying while cutting an onion. Like, because this is, I guess, like also technically where you would put getting tear gassed. Or like experiencing tear gas, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I guess so.
Ish.
Honorable mention to getting tear gassed on this list.
Well,
This is funny enough the most contentious one we've had on this whole show.
Yeah.
because
Crying 'cause you
getting
got
tear gas has the connotation that you're being aggressively attacked. So I feel like it would downgrade it into like something
know.
else.
I can definitely see the hey, do you want to see what it's like to get tear
No.
gas?
Okay. I take that back.
hmm I think we need to move to the next one, Rakush.
Yeah.
Crying because you
yeah.
got something in
Yeah.
your eye.
Ooh.
Is that the next one?
Yeah.
I definitely
Oh
would.
man.
Is that the same as crying because cutting an onion?
Or
Now,
crying because you
again-
got tear gas in your eye, I guess. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, because again, it's a
man.
mechanical thing, right? You like maybe an eyelash fell in there, not your fault.
Yeah.
I would say spilled milk.
Oof.
But you wouldn't want to not cry during this?
I would argue this is trying not to cry.
I feel like this is trying not to cry as well.
Yeah.
Because like you're trying very desperately to clean out your eye and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
and there's also the ad. I'm not sure if anyone else is here with me, but I don't like the eye. I don't like touching the eyeball.
Oh
Yeah.
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 Same.
Or like sometimes like your eye booger like
Yeah.
gets into like, you know, the actual eye and you gotta clean it out. Like, you know, sometimes you
Yeah.
gotta just cry it out.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, trying not to cry.
Okay. Something's in your eye. Okay.
Crying because you ate some spicy food.
I
Spilled
think
milk?
that's trying not to cry. Oh.
Oh.
I can easily see it being like crying over spilled milk, but I think like when you're eating spicy food, the way I imagine this particular crying is you are at a table with all your friends and you're eating and you've ordered something that is too spicy for you, but you don't want to say it's too spicy because like you know you gotta be toxically masculine.
Yeah. Gotta be tough in front of
And
the
not
boys.
cry in front of your
Yeah.
friends because you made a boo boo and the like I don't know the thing you ordered is too spicy.
Yeah, you got the 4 spice and you're like, nope.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
just like bragged about, oh yeah, yo, these hot wings, yo, these things for bitches. I'm gonna destroy these things.
Yeah,
and you take one bite and you're like, oh no.
I'm with
Matt,
you. Okay. Yeah.
I've
Trying
known you
not to
long
cry.
enough. Matt, I've known you
Uh-huh.
long enough. I know
Yeah.
when your voice hits a certain pitch, you're recalling a memory. Would you like to share?
I mean, I've just definitely like eaten food that's too spicy and I don't want to like, you know, like
Make
I'm just like
know.
coughing. I'm just like, yeah, and I'm just like trying to keep it down because I don't want people to become concerned. It's not that I'm trying to hide it to like prevent tears. I don't like the attention that goes on to you when you're having a coughing fit.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a hypothetical here. We're not going to change the tier for this, but I do want to add a hypothetical situation here, all right? You've now cried because you ate some spicy food. Someone comes and gives you a glass of milk, but then you spill that milk.
Oh, that's trying not to cry. That's,
No, that
really
would
it's a
be-
big boy cry.
That'd be a
I feel like that's a big
for
boy
me.
cry at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's
So
there's
there's
now
the
this
only
there's now this component of like extra shame from the spilled milk.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So there's like a hypothetical where crying over spilled milk is a literal spilled milk situation.
There's
but
three things that went into that. One, you're crying already because like you baby and you can't eat spicy food. Two, you just made a mess in a restaurant or like somewhere, and now you got to deal with that, like living in your head.
Yeah.
And three, you lost the thing that was going to save you.
I feel like this might actually
I just leave at that point.
I feel like that might put crying over spilled milk into I need therapy tier. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I mean, under those contexts, yeah.
Yeah.
But
contextually, I think that would put it under I need therapy.
I think you can argue any of these becomes I need therapy tier with enough.
Quit
work.
saying the quiet part loud.
You can add a lot of context through a lot of this.
I
To
need you guys
either
to
bring
stop saying
them
the
up
quiet
or
part
bring
loud,
it up.
please.
I can add something to crying in the rain that I think could move it down to I need therapy, but like,
Or I can add
don't
something in that to make it like really good. Because like if we attach it to finding the perfect bleed out spot and you're crying in the rain because you're that would make it single best cry ever. But
that's listen, that is some next level combination shit there. I like where your brain's going with this. I like it.
Contextually, you could add a lot of context.
Hell yes. But also for the memes, I feel like moving crying over spilled milk into I need therapy would be really hilarious. But that's all. Let's move on to the next one.
Wait, sorry, where did we put spicy food?
Try not to cry, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
All right, guys. We are a video game podcast.
Yes.
Sometimes we dabble in emotions, like, listen, it happens, like one of these tiers.
Like that Princess Peach game, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
I don't know what that game you're referring to is, but yes, exactly.
The 3DS one?
The 3DS one where her powers are emotions because she's a lady.
Okay.
And Nintendo has some weird views.
Interesting. I should go download that game on the 3DS
so
store.
we talk about like a problematic part of the game. You're like, gotta play that shit.
Yeah.
Oh man.
No, I'm actually curious. I'm curious what that game is. Crying because the game is cheating.
I heard it was okay.
Sometimes you're just playing a game and you think, no, there's no way the PC can do this. There's absolutely no chance.
Are we talking
that,
about
the PC is
that
this
like
smart.
Okay.
The game is cheating. Your emotions are telling you
NPCs?
the game is cheating, whether it's true or whether it's not.
Cheating.
The game is cheating.
But sometimes the game is cheating to like balance it, right? Like
in this
Mario
hypothetical,
Kart has rubber banding and stuff.
In this hypothetical, whether it's cheating or not does not matter. You absolutely believe it is.
Because I'm right. Yeah. But like,
I feel like that's an angry cry, and we don't have an angry cry.
Yeah,
see, this is why I wanted to leave no dog in him there, because like I feel like this is the kind of stuff where I'm like, no dog, but crying over spilled milk.
That doesn't sound like angry crying to me either. No dog.
Yeah, it doesn't sound correct to me either.
But I feel like it's a judgy cry, where it's like if someone's crying over the game, I'll be like, I'm kind of judging.
Maybe trying not to cry.
Cry.
Yeah. Trying not to cry. Then it is the closest thing we have.
You think this is trying not to cry?
Yeah, because you're frustrated, and then you're just like, you're like really angry, but like, you're holding it back.
I think this is trying not to cry, for lack of a better place to put it.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen
this tier list? Needs like a whole nother dimension.
I don't think so. I don't think we've got the time. I don't think we've got the time to add extra in here.
Yeah, no, I'm saying this needs a Z-axis.
Listen, I appreciate
encapsulate everything.
I truly appreciate how passionate you guys are about this stupid fucking idea. I really love y'all for this. That's way more work that I want to put into this. So thank you. I feel like this is crying over spilled milk, because like it's just a game.
It's true. You could see
no,
it
but
that
like,
way.
yo, just think about it, dude. Imagine like you're like, I don't know, you can see the finish line, and all of a sudden you just get hit by a bullshit ass blue shell. It's like, oh, okay, that sucks. And then you get hit by like somebody who is like red shell, and then you kind of get knocked off to the side a bit, and by someone's like star whizzing past you, and all of a sudden you've gone from first to like 20th, and now you're out of like whatever that new mode is in the new Mario Kart.
I got a proposal here, Julian, and I feel like we need to keep Matt out of this decision here.
I'm getting heated right now.
Yes. I want to add a new tier to this list that is just called Matt's Emotions tier. And it's like right between trying not to cry and big boy crying, and the only thing that goes in there is crying because the game cheating.
Oh man.
Can we do that?
if you want to overcomplicate it, but I feel
I
like
absolutely want to overcomplicate it.
I think
just
trying
because.
not to cry is just a good place to.
I think it's serviceable for.
I would love to add Matt's emotions in here, but okay, fine. Democracy rules here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next one. Cry laughing.
Oh, I could.
Like
cry
you're laughing
forever,
so
I think.
hard that you just start crying. There's tears in your eyes.
When was the last time you like cried laughing at something?
Oh man, I cry laugh a lot. Actually, maybe this is my happy memories of crying.
I'm doing it during this recording. It's fantastic.
I think that, but I would honestly want to just personally put this into single best cry ever and then move perfect bleeding.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
But like I think
I
that's
could cry
a personal
forever.
thing.
I could cry forever is where I'd go for this.
Yeah, that's I would go for that as well. I could cry.
Yeah,
forever.
I think that's like about correct.
I did that a few minutes earlier when Matt called me a bitch.
Yeah, just imagine me calling you a bitch forever.
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious.
Do you guys know that video of that lady that was being rescued in like a stretcher on a helicopter, but they forgot to tie it down, so the stretcher
And she just
was,
keeps spinning around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was laughing
Yeah.
at that really good.
Last time I think I laughed at something.
Man.
Oh god.
You know what? Like, I think about 3 days ago, I actually saw that video again of the lady who falls over while she's stomping the grapes.
Oh
That's
no!
so good.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a classic.
That's
That's
a
a
classic.
throwback. Oh my god.
Ooh,
That's a
a
classic.
classic.
Yeah.
Classic.
That's a good one.
Simpler times.
Oh,
The internet needs to go
Mhm.
back to just that.
Just gifts, yeah, short gifts.
I could cry forever for that
Okay.
one, I think. I think we're
Oh,
all
man.
in agreement there.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Okay. Next one, I want to ask you guys, are you familiar with the concept of crocodile tears?
Yeah. Like
yeah,
fake cry,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yes. You're not actually crying. You're faking it.
hmm
Ooh. I think there's another we need a Z-axis thing for, but
Yeah.
Sociopath tear, yes. But also I need therapy.
What?
You think this is I need therapy?
How? You're
'Cause
like
how?
fake,
Yeah.
but you're fake crying.
Because if you're fake crying and you realize that you're fake crying, hopefully there's certain humanity in you that makes you realize you need to go to therapy.
So you're kind of like looking at it as like a
Mm.
sociopathic, like
Mm-hmm.
you need therapy because you are using it
Ah,
to
I see.
control other people kind of situation.
Mhm.
I don't
Okay.
know. I understand like why you think the person needs therapy, but I think that a lot of people who are going to like actually no, probably that's actually not true. I was gonna say a lot of people who are like, what do you call it? Not psychically. What's the thing where it's not accident? I'm blanking on the word that's opposite of accident.
Intentional?
Purpose. Yeah, purposeful. Intentional, purposeful. On purpose. You probably have like a really good grasp on like that you're a psychopath.
I think like
You
part of
need
it is like you
Well,
have
like
to
that
admit
not-
that you need therapy, and that's the thing where like that's the challenge, right? Like if you're
Yeah.
crying crocodile tears, do you realize you need to get therapy?
Okay. I guess this is internally, do you believe, like, is the I need therapy tier internally, like, or you're looking at it like, I personally believe I need therapy, or like, I need therapy as a statement that somebody's looking at you like, hey, you need therapy?
Either. Whatever makes it work for you. Okay.
'Cause those
Here's
are two
where we're at
different
with
things,
crocodile
I
tears.
think. I think those are two different things.
I mean, simplicity's sake, it's the same thing for just the rest of this episode, because we're almost done with the list.
Well, okay, but which way are we going with it then? If it's like, which way are we going?
So okay, this is where I'm kind of leaning with crocodile tears. It's either therapy tier or like I could cry forever tier. Because like depending on how much of an asshole you are, you could keep using this forever to your benefit.
I would have put this in the neutral over could cry forever, because it's just like, again, almost like a mechanical crying.
You think it's like an emotionless crying?
Yeah, that's exactly
think,
what crocodile tears are.
Yeah.
I feel like it could be anything. I feel like crocodile tears could be just kind of faking through an emotion, which is also kind of shitty.
I think specifically when I think of the phrase crocodile tears, it is someone who is like mechanically crying to induce
Manipulate
like an
other
emotional
people.
response from
Yeah.
somebody else.
Yeah, but isn't that
Mhm.
manipulative?
Yeah, it's manipulative. So I
So
think
how's that
that's why it
neutral?
is a neutral cry.
I don't think that's
Like
a
it
neutral
is
cry.
not.
I
You're
think
not
it's a
doing
piece
it
of
out
shit
of
cry.
happiness. You're not. Yeah, you're not. Yeah, that's why we need a Z axis. You're not doing it out of happiness. You're not doing it out of sadness. You're doing it like because it is like required of you.
Yes.
So you guys think this
I-
is crying over spilled milk?
with the things
Yeah.
with the things we've laid down, I would agree.
Okay.
Because like if
Yeah.
we do add in that idea of like you're doing it to manipulate people, therefore that begets therapy. Like sure, it should be an I need therapy, but I'm with what we have talked about in the past. I would agree with Matt with that it should be crying over spilled milk because once again, we're treating it as the top 3 are positive, the bottom 3 are negative, and then the middle is kind of just like a neutral mechanical crying. And crocodile tears is like a mechanical cry because if you take out the context of you wanting to manipulate other people, you are essentially forcing a cry. So it is a mechanical cry. Mm-hmm. So I would agree it's a neutral.
That also somehow convinces me over crying while cutting an onion now.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I think it would be crying over spilled milk.
All right. Guys, we got 8 more to go. We're actually not that far off. Crying in the shower.
Oh, but this one, is this not just crying in the rain, but indoors?
Kind of, and I made the mistake of not following up crying in the rain with crying in the shower. So, my bad, coach.
Yeah, what is mechanically different? Crying in the rain versus crying in the shower. I guess you'd cry over different things.
It's just different environments, that's all.
Yeah, just indoors and outdoors, right? I mean, like, you can't, like, R&B dance in the shower, I guess.
I mean, listen, depends on how rich you are, and you got a big enough bath and shower or whatever. You could figure it out.
That's true, I guess.
I think there's a purposefulness on crying in the shower. Because now that I'm thinking, I'm just specifically thinking back to crying in the rain. And, like, you could be crying, and then that by happenstance, the rain makes it worse.
I absolutely thought you were going a different way with that, and I thought you were going to be like thinking back on crying in the shower.
Oh no! And then like when you, I was more just thinking back on personal experiences and crying in the rain, and the rain just making like, oh yeah, this makes it like really bad. But then when you're crying in the shower, I feel like you're breaking down in a place where you're already getting wet.
Yeah. Like, when I think of crying in the shower, I think of when I've thought of in the past when I've cried in the shower. I feel like it has been moments where I have had extreme frustration and emotions that I needed to let go. And it was a safe environment for me to do so. I feel like in my perspective, I feel like then this would be a healthy cry.
Okay. I actually don't disagree with that.
Yeah, because I agree with Matt with the intention, right? Because Matt mentioned like crying in the rain is a lot of the times would be unintentional. You cry and then it just happens to rain. But crying in the shower is very intentional. Like if you are feeling like you're crying, you wouldn't immediately think, I need to jump in the shower. You know, you would make that intentional choice to be like, I need to get these emotions out. What's a safe environment for me? Probably the shower, because it is like, you know, you can kind of mask certain things. You can feel safe. You can isolate yourself. So, in my opinion, I feel like it would be healthy.
Okay.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I'll go with that.
It could definitely be negative, but I agree with that like logic.
All right, so that goes into just a healthy cry. Let's move on to the next one. Something we sometimes do in the shower, per cliches, crying while singing. Well, we sing in showers. I don't say we cry while singing, but like, you know what? You know where I was going with that one. Crying while singing. Usually a love song in brackets, but it could be any song.
I'm leaving this one to you two. I'm removing myself from this one because I don't know. I don't think I've ever crying while singing in already to me is crying over spilled milk, and I know that is incorrect.
I think this is big boy crying.
I guess it depends why you're crying while you're singing. Are you crying because of the song, or are you crying because of like the emotions?
Both. That's a miracle of music, Julian.
Yeah, I mean, big boy crying, I guess.
I think it's a big boy cry. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you're in your feels. You just gotta belt it out. Get some Celine Dion.
Right. Sometimes you're just at karaoke and you hit like the right note, and it's like, man, you just felt that, and it's like, you know, for a second, you think you're a professional.
Yeah.
It's a big boy cry.
Yeah. I agree.
Okay. Yeah.
Crying when he calls your name, Jolene. Julian, I think you and I are going to have to handle this one. Matt, have you ever heard the hit Dolly Parton song, Jolene?
Yeah, but I don't understand the context of this cry.
I was going to say that. In the song. I know what it is. I just don't understand it contextually. Like, it's behind it.
It's a lyric in the song. See, this is why I wish No Dogging Him was still here, because I feel like that tier was built specifically for me to say that Dolly Parton, no dogging her, no fighting her.
Are you shit-talking Dolly Parton right now?
For this specific instance, but as a complimentary thing. Because there's no reason for Dolly Parton to think that Jolene's better than her, and yet she's crying over this bullshit. Stand
Then
up,
is that
Dolly
not
Parton.
crying over
Stand the
spilled milk?
fuck up.
Nah, man, this is like what you're getting in your head. I could argue that this is I need therapy.
Bonnie Tyler also, no dog in her. Because it's like she's having a total eclipse of her heart. And she's like, oh, nothing I can do about this. Just a total eclipse of the heart. Nothing I can do about this. What the fuck are you guys talking about? Fight.
I don't know. There could just be happenstance on where, you're kind of just like looking at something and you're like, you just feel despair.
Yeah.
I feel like I would agree with you if Dolly Parton looked like me. Ugly is what I'm trying to say. Dolly Parton, stunning woman. Breathtaking even. Right? If I saw her in her prime, I would be crying because she would be the most beautiful woman I ever saw. Why is she crying over Jolene?
Yo, it was always stated that Jolene also super hot, I believe.
I would argue. I would argue with you guys. One of my biggest fears in my life, finding out Jolene is not that attractive. Because I would lose all respect for Dolly Parton.
Jolene is a homewrecker. The narrator is asking her to back off because she knows the man may not be strong enough to resist. What?
And all I'm saying is if you're Dolly Parton, dog, you're Dolly Parton. You ain't got to worry about that shit.
No,
you're Dolly Parton.
You never know. Yo, there's always a bigger fish. And what if the bigger fish is Jolene? There's always feelings of inadequacy when you're looking at somebody else. And like how are you going to measure up to this person? And thinking that, hey, if you had to go up against this person, you might lose.
If my partner leaves me for another person, and like I can't trust my partner, then like fuck them, like I don't need them. I'm just saying.
Okay, but are you going to go and talk to the other person and be like, hey, could you please not steal my partner?
No, because I should, if I'm with my partner, I should trust them enough to not be stolen.
That's what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying.
To be stolen is like there's no such thing as stealing because it's an act. Like that means the person is. So like for me, it's like fuck them. If they're gonna leave, like I'm not gonna go to Jolene.
You're not gonna write a love song about a person that could be leaving you, right? That's what I'm saying. No dog in her, crying over spilled milk tier. Also, would just like to point out, Dolly Parton apparently has been married to the same person or was married to the same person since 1966.
Oh. Neat.
Had absolutely nothing to worry about. Yeah. Literally crying over spilled milk.
Oh, then that works. Yeah, 100%.
Dolly Parton.
Yeah, you convinced me with that argument.
Dolly Parton.
That works.
Could you have opened with that? You could have saved us like 4 minutes.
But that's content, Matt. Come on. You've been doing editing podcasts for how long? You should know this.
Oh, man.
Oh,
it all adds up. It all adds up. Next thing you know, we're going to be here for, we have 5 left right now.
5
you
left.
You don't know that these aren't going to take another 45 minutes.
It's not going to take us too long. I promise you it's not going to take us too long. Crying because of some sort of media is the next one.
Okay, so that
media?
is Big Boy crying, of course.
That's kind of similar to singing, right? Like, it's just something evokes an emotion in you. Like, you listen to a song, you read a passage in a book, like, something like that.
Or the Iron Giant dies.
But, like, we've talked about the bottom 3 being, like, a negative kind of cry, right?
Uh-huh.
I feel like,
again, Big Boy's evolved. Big Boy's evolved a little bit.
But I guess so, but it's still kind of, like, in between 2 negatives. So, like, because, like, if I'm crying towards media, I'm crying because it has affected me.
So you're saying we need to move Big Boy up 2 tiers?
I guess, but then that kind of throws everything out of whack.
No.
That's tier making, guys. That is tier making. It takes on a life of its own.
Could it be I could cry forever because like it's a positive? I don't know.
You know what? You could make a convincing argument there.
Yeah, because I think it's positive. I think if a media like you wouldn't cry at media because it doesn't do anything, or it's I would cry at media because it has affected me in some way, and I feel like that's a positive thing, regardless of how sad it is. Like. Even if, at the end of Iron Giant, like, I cried because, he fulfilled his dream. He wanted to be Superman. He wanted to be more than a weapon. Like, that's positive. That's inspirational. That tells us that there is a human in all of us. That's a positive thing.
There you go.
I don't know, because I'm thinking of, like, media crying, and, again, like I stated at the top, I don't positively cry that much.
Matt, I think this list is meant to make you cry as well.
Well, I'm thinking of when a character dies, and by character I specifically mean a dog dies in a movie,
or
a book, or that sort of thing.
Right. No, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Not even dying. A dog experiences a minor inconvenience in a piece of media. They're like, this is gonna destroy me.
Because I'm the opposite of you, where the only time I've cried at media is when it has like affected me. Like the last time I cried was like near Automata, like at the end, where there's that realization of like that connectiveness with other people. So like inspirational things, I think, is what makes me cry.
Yeah.
So we're kind of at an impasse here, Matt.
No. So jokes and gags aside for this specific one, it's how Julian's describing it is how I intended this one.
Okay.
It is absolutely just listening to something, watching something, anything, right? Like any kind of media that just like hooks you for whatever reason, right? Like I will go back to, and this is not a cry, but like one of my favorite manga panels ever is from Berserk. It is Guts in I believe it's a Fairy Children arc, and like it's just like this full page sort of like thing of him, like spread of him just like covered in literal guts and like looking absolutely chaotic, and it's just like this really sort of visceral reaction to something like that, right? And like I do absolutely mean this is a positive.
Okay. Yeah, then if you're reading it as a positive, I'm checking myself out of the tier. This is YouTube.
Then
is
we
this
need
healthy cry or cry forever though?
I would say I could cry forever, because if media has made you cry in an inspirational or positive way, I feel like it's a powerful thing, because like then you're kind of interacting with it as an art form.
I think End of Red Dead Redemption is another one like that for me.
Yeah.
Like where it's just like John Marston, like what's gonna happen with John Marston. Like you absolutely do. And then like it goes into bullet time and you're supposed to like hit all these guys, but then it's just not possible. Like that helplessness as well, but like it's such an earned helplessness. Like I think this is
I'd agree.
Absolutely there. Yeah.
I think for Matt though, we need to put like a animal getting hurt.
Once again, these are JPEGs. I cannot add a JPEG in here, so honorable mention to
crying animal getting hurt into big boy cry.
Again, like we cannot joke about dogs getting hurt, so like that's why it's not on the list here. Is all I'm saying.
I mean, we mentioned it a lot enough times, so
Matt mentioned it a lot. Listen, we did not mention this a lot. I feel
like you can't like fairly say that anymore.
Matt mentioned it a lot.
I mean, that was branching off like never-ending story of like the horse getting.
It's true.
Never-ending story was the one where the horse is in the tar pit.
Yeah.
Yes. All I'm saying is this list not for you if you're laughing at those moments.
No, you need therapy.
I'm now just thinking of Shadow of the Colossus when the horse falls off the bridge.
Oh God.
He survives in the end though. Spoilers
he survived?
Yeah. We finished that game together, I think, right?
I don't remember. Okay, I think I just blanked out. I think I was too traumatized by losing the horse.
No, there's a brief like cutscene at the end where the lady you woke up or resurrected with is with the baby and then has the horse. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. No. Yeah, you're right. She does have the horse. Okay.
Yeah, it was a fake out.
Okay. Well. Okay. Maybe I take back the dead horse.
Crying while drinking.
Where were we? We're crying while some sort of media is I Could Cry Forever?
Yeah, it's I Could Cry Forever, yes.
Okay.
Crying while drinking, though let's be honest, it's because you miss her. Or them, again, inclusive. If I woke up the next morning for this, I feel like I'm going to need therapy.
Do you cry while you're drinking, though? Isn't drinking like a coping mechanism?
I'm literally
crying?
Drinking right now, and I have not cried. Although I have happy cried when I'm drinking. Because typically that means life is good.
I feel like if you are using drinking as a means of coping.
Yes. Also, I feel like we should give this caveat for this show that Matt and Julian might not be the best people to answer this question. Matt, I don't think you drink at all. Julian, I don't know how much you drink.
Not a whole lot.
There we go. Yeah. So I feel like this is exclusively me potentially putting this on the list here. And I'm going to put this under I Need Therapy tier.
I would agree. If you're using drinking as a coping mechanism, there's probably healthier coping mechanisms to seek in therapy.
I mean, hey, you could just be in a healthy relationship and you just miss her so much and you just want her back for real, that's it. But no, therapy's here.
I'd agree.
Crying in a corner.
Why am I crying in the corner?
We do not need to build a lore for all of this.
Is this like
just crying in a corner?
It's like Blair Witch, like I'm standing in the corner, like crying.
You could be just, squatted down. Don't have to be standing.
I was taking this as like a kindergarten level kid crying in the corner.
Wearing like a dunce cap.
This is literal big boy crying, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
But by definition, a kindergarten kid is not a big boy.
I think a kindergarten kid is the only kind of kid that would call himself like a big boy. I think like
we're 35 years
like
old and have spent the last 90 minutes calling
2.
ourselves big boys.
I mean in the literal sense. We call ourselves big boys because we big boys. Like we big boys.
But like you would like ironically, well not ironically, but you would like you see like a kindergartner and you'd be like, "Oh, you've grown so much." Like is that not just like a
guess
like a way of saying a big boy?
Telling a kid who's crying that you've grown so much is the polite way of saying you a bitch, stop crying. Like
I feel like this falls under trying not to cry.
I think it can. But I also think it can fall into big boy crying. Like I see the argument. Because like if this is like what Matt was describing, like sitting in the corner wearing a dunce cap, I can see like trying not to cry because you're already putting in an embarrassing situation and you're like, ooh, this is unfair, but I want to like.
Again, now, okay.
I feel like in high school, Julian, me and you have both revealed to each other that we both said this or thought the same thing. We both wanted the dunce cap because we thought it was a cool hat.
Oh, it's such a cool hat. Yeah. Like it's a cone? Like, are you kidding me? It's like a wizard's hat.
Man. Yeah.
Oh, God.
I would unironically wear a dunce cap.
Yeah.
Are you putting yourself in the corner yourself before you start crying, or is somebody else putting you in the corner?
I mean, you wrote this. You tell me.
Yeah.
It's our list, friends. That's why I'm asking you guys to build this lore.
I can only envision crying in a corner, specifically being like a child.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Cannot imagine this like really as an adult crying. So this is like some dumb kid got put in timeout, and now they mad about it.
Yeah, because I can't think of a reason. Like if I'm an adult, like I would actively go into a corner to cry. Like
this
I would
also
go
just
to
reminds
other
me of this Simpsons gag where it's Bart going into a corner. And then there's this one episode where Marge is like, Bart, go to the corner, but he's already in the corner, and he's like, oh.
Oh, I remember that one, actually.
Yeah, but then that once again validates the...
All right.
This is like a child kind of situation.
Big boy
like
crying
being punished. Yeah.
We got 2 more left.
Okay.
Crying yourself to sleep.
Oh, that's sad. I'd say big boy crying.
Yeah, I think that's like pretty squarely in big boy crying.
Yeah, that's like just having a hard time, and then you're just...
I could see that. Mm-hmm. I also feel like this is a healthy cry.
Well, it depends, right? Depends on the context. Like, are you crying yourself to sleep because of frustrations? Because then, like it's, I don't know. Like, are you using it as a means to cope? Are you using it to kind of let go of your emotions? Or are you doing it because of like you're really angry and frustrated? Because if you're really angry and frustrated, then I'd say big boy cry. But
I don't disagree with you. Counterpoint I would make, this would make crying in the shower big boy crying.
No, I don't think so. Maybe.
How would you differentiate the two?
I feel like, just going back to Matt's point, crying in the shower has a lot of intentionality. Intentionality of like, I'm gonna go in the shower because it is a very safe space for me. And crying in your sleep can be number one. It can be a safe space for you, so it can be healthy cry. But crying to sleep can also be a means of giving up in that moment. Like, not to say like you're giving up forever, but maybe like so much things has happened to you in that day that you're just like, I'm just gonna restart. I'm just gonna start over tomorrow. So you go to sleep. Like there's an intentionality of like, I'm going in here for a safe space. In bed, it can be a safe space, but it could also just be a restart.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a safe space if you got nobody else in bed.
Yeah. I mean,
fair.
I think it has the same feeling of like the crying in the rain, where you can unintentionally cry yourself to sleep. Like I feel like you hear the phrase a lot of, "Oh, they just cried themselves to sleep," like, and it's not. There isn't an intention there. So I feel like this is just like, oh, like the cry in the shower is like alleviating to you in some way, but I think this doesn't have a fix at the end.
Yes,
for lack of a better way to say it.
Yes, I agree, 100%.
Okay, so this is big boy crying.
Be continued. Like this is to be continued.
Yeah, because
crying.
it depends, right? Like, are you doing this to cope? Are you doing this to like kind of continue it later, but because you can't deal with it right now? So
counterpoint.
Yeah.
Maybe this is I need therapy tier.
This is middle.
It definitely could be. Yeah, I would.
Like, if you don't know why you're crying yourself to sleep, then I feel like that's therapy.
No, I think you'll know why you're crying yourself to sleep.
I don't know about that. There was definitely a stretch of time where I did not know why I was crying myself to sleep.
Yeah, I mean that could just be like a lot of things. That could just be a collection of things.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes like it's just an accumulation. It's a bunch of different things. COVID's happening. You listen. She said no. Could be anything.
I would
she
be
said no because
okay.
you have COVID. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or because she said no because you cried. In both big boy crying and I need therapy.
I feel like I need therapy needs a third one. Just like honestly, looking at the shape of the tier,
you can't do that for these tiers.
I am absolutely doing that here. I am absolutely using that logic here. I feel like this needs to go under I need therapy because like the only two that are in there being that like she said no after she got the ick from you crying because she said yes, and then crying while drinking. I feel like crying yourself to sleep is like a solid middle ground between those two that like bridges the gap.
I feel like
I don't think you need to go to therapy necessarily because you're crying to sleep.
Yeah, I'm also a little hesitant because it seems a little crass because it's like it's this idea of like I'm crying myself to sleep, therefore you need therapy.
Of course.
Kind of, like I feel like
it doesn't seem correct to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna go at big boy crying.
Yeah, same.
Once again, democracy at work here. I will go with what you guys agree on.
Yeah.
We're down to one. Arguably the most important one. Crying because you need to poop, but there's no toilet nearby.
Oof. That can be painful.
This is the most insane thing I've ever heard.
Really?
When you need to poop, you cannot afford to be crying. You need your eyes so clear to find the washroom.
And that is why to me, this is trying not to cry.
This is mechanically impossible.
I don't think it's mechanically impossible.
No, I mean, like, there's an intense worry. I feel like that would personally stop me from crying in the case of needing to poop really badly.
Don't think so.
I think like
I wouldn't start crying in a situation until I shit myself.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Because like when I think of this, I'm thinking like when I'm like heading home and then like I connect to the home's Wi-Fi where for some reason now I need to like poop, even though I didn't need to before. But like there's like a rush. So like I remember when I was like in China and like I was in the elevator and I needed to like wait for me to get to the floor of my apartment. I didn't cry. I was just laser focused on like keeping it together.
All I'm saying is, listen, I think we're lucky that we haven't figured out what that point of crying is when you need to poop. This is a hypothetical, of course, right? But like,
I have no context for this. I have no.
But like, okay, if you need to poop, but there's no toilet nearby, Matt has made it clear that he is trying not to cry here.
No, I'm not trying not to cry. I am not in a position where tears
to even consider,
would at all happen.
I think
you gotta
that
like
is a little too definitive.
That is trying not to cry in the same way that I'm also trying not to paint a house. Like,
what?
Oh, you know what? That's actually very bad because like I'm like, oh man, fuck.
Because for me, it's like you have to just lock in. It's not like it's not about crying. It's like you just lock in. You like, as the youth say, you're like mewing or whatever. You're just focusing. Like I don't see that as crying. I see that as like there's a purpose. I need to find a toilet. And I agree with Matt when he said that the only time when crying would ever really come is if I don't make it to the toilet. And
then that becomes trying not to cry.
Yeah, that becomes trying not to cry.
I feel like you guys are being too definitive that a situation like this would never exist. So, crying over spilled milk or trying not to cry?
I'd say trying not to cry. For the purposes of what we've kind of talked about, I feel like it would be trying not to cry.
Okay.
Where would you put it,
over
Matt?
spilled milk. I am crying over spilled milk because like that is the neutral. In that you shouldn't be crying in this situation.
Mm.
Okay, what if you spilled the milk because you didn't want to drink anything more because you needed to poop really badly?
The milk is the reason I needed to poop in the first place. Probably. But like,
I think this is trying not to cry.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is democracy again. This is
Yeah, I'm trying not to cry.
Well, okay, but where would you put it? That's what I'm asking you. Crying over spilled milk?
I would put it in crying over spilled milk because like that is the neutral. That is where I've been putting things where you should not be crying, or like you have like things that you shouldn't be crying over is like where crying over spilled milk is like that's a tier for me, and I think you wouldn't at all be crying in this situation because you can't.
Julian, do you want to move this up?
No, I think trying not to cry is perfectly good.
Okay, guys, I think we just have a tier here.
That's the
We've
tier.
built out the most definitive, comprehensive list of crying that has ever existed.
Mm-hmm.
Minus the actual serious crying. You know, like we don't want to talk about any of that.
I mean, we should have put the serious crying on here.
I don't think so. No.
Some of these do not make sense without the context, but
yeah,
whatever.
It's all good. And that is why people need to listen to this episode. There's a hidden list on here. There's a hidden one on here that's actually not on the list. Sorry.
So it's not hidden. It's just like
it's just not on the list. But there's a secret one that I wanted to bring up here. You know, crying because my friends indulged my dumbass idea here. Thank you guys. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Honestly, like this was gonna go one way or the other. It was gonna be either just like really stupid and not funny, or just like at least we would laugh a little bit and chuckle and it not be funny. I think it went that way, so it's all good. We're just gonna quickly summarize the tier here to make sure that you know, hey, if you're listening, you're gonna get a screenshot of the tier. If you're watching along, we just want to make sure you're watching along to the correct tier, and Matt did not get anything right or wrong. I hope you got everything right.
Mm-hmm.
Just making sure that Matt didn't get anything wrong in his recording, you know? So, we're trying to make Jaren cry. The single best cry ever. It's because we found the perfect bleeding out spot. Second tier, I could cry forever. Crying because she said yes. What did she say yes to? Yes. Cry laughing. Crying because of some sort of media. Shout out Van Morrison. Just a healthy cry. Crying because you just saw the most beautiful woman ever. Could be Dolly Parton. Crying for no reason. You know, because whatever, just cry. Crying because sports. Shout out to Matt and Julian for telling me that's actually a healthy cry. I feel better about myself now. Crying in the shower. The next tier, crying over spilled milk. The first one, crying over spilled milk. Crying on the internet. Toughen up. Crying while cutting an onion. Apparently you're not supposed to.
Yo, no, it's not that you're not supposed to. It's just mechanical.
Apparently it's just mechanical.
Happens.
There you go. Like,
yeah, just happens.
Just happens. Crying some crocodile tears. Again, just mechanical. You might not feel nothing, but if you're like Matt and you don't feel nothing, sometimes you just gotta cry mechanical tears. You know,
it's just like turning on a faucet. You don't feel anything when you turn on the faucet.
I mean, I might feel like wanting to go to the bathroom, but okay. Crying when he calls your name, Jolene. I apparently have a typo in here, by the way. Kind of embarrassing. But oh well. Trying not to cry. And the first one in there is trying not to cry, but crying regardless. Crying because you stubbed your toe. Crying because you got something in your eye. Slightly different than just crying while cutting an onion, of course. Crying because you ate some spicy food. I'm going to make a slight adjustment to this list here and move crying because you need to poop, but there's no toilet nearby, right next to crying because you ate some spicy food. Because sometimes there's a correlation there. Crying because of game cheatin', or as I like to call it in my own head, Matt's emotion tier. The big boy crying. Crying because she said no, all caps. Crying in the rain. Vegeta.gif. Please look up that gif. You'll understand. Crying while singing. Usually a love song. Crying in a corner. crying yourself to sleep, sometimes in a corner. And lastly, I need therapy. Crying because she said no, all caps, after she got the ick from your crying because she said yes, lowercase. Crying while drinking. Though let's be honest, it's because you miss her. But also let's be honest, the crying while drinking, you probably need therapy. But friends, here's the secret in all of this. Whether you're happy, whether you're sad, whether you feel nothing, go get therapy. Don't just make stupid tears like this in place of therapy, because therapy actually helps out a lot. Therapy helps you laugh at some of the things that you might not be able to laugh at sometimes. This has been a very special episode of The Mistake Zone. Matt, thank you for being here. Julian, thank you for being here as well. Lots of insights from the both of you. Lots more questions that I thought you guys were going to ask about this. So really, really glad that you guys asked the questions. I really just thought like I was going to name some of these. You guys would just tell me where it goes, and that's it. Like 45 minutes and we'd be done. No, this is a beefy episode.
No. Tier lists very weirdly take a long time. Way longer than you would think.
Yeah, it's a lot of arguments and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as a group, doing tier lists takes forever.
So inside baseball, we thought it would take an hour 15 with all of these things being done, but also it just kind of depends on how much we got to say about these things. Turns out we had a lot to say about these things. So fun.
To be honest, I thought we were going to hit 2.
That's wild. Nah, no chance.
I was thinking that maybe it would be I was thinking at the start, I said 2 minutes for each question at the low end. And I wouldn't have been surprised if we hit 2.5.
Nah, bro, not a chance. I gotta go eat. I don't have that much time.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, thank you again for both of you. Jern, I hope once you read this list, I hope once you listen to this episode, you think about the perfect bleeding out spot, and you'll realize, man, that's some good shit, and you'll just, shed a single tear. That's all we ask for, just a single tear. Matt, you can take it away.
This has been The Mistake Zone, and we're all out of healthy cries.